Feeling a little unsettled and stressed with the way things are in our world? Experience the peace of Jesus with Finding Peace, our 5-day devotional. Visit purposely.com to sign up. Purposely. Your life, God's purpose. Listen at purposely.com.
In college, I was part of a campus ministry that broke up into smaller groups just to develop stronger relationships, to be able to share our lives with each other, give advice, get encouragement, all of that stuff. And one day, we met our small group in the student commons of the school, and I could tell that the leader, who was one of my best friends and my roommate, had a certain twinkle in her eye, and she had something suspicious in mind. I could see that she had brought a big blanket with her, and I was curious as to what we were going to be doing for this. What is this blanket about? So we read the passage that I am going to read to you today, one that you might be familiar with, where the paralytic man was on the mat and he was brought by his friends to Jesus. And then my friend goes, guess what? We are going to act this out today. That girl had us literally carry each other around on this blanket, 2 different groups of students, so we could share our faith. It was hilarious, and I'm fairly certain it left an impact on the people that were around. Hey, this is Jen. You're listening to the Bible for Busy People, and yes, I have a point. I'm getting to it. We are talking about good neighbors this week. And today we are reading from Mark chapter 2. Starting in verse 1, it says, "A few days later, when Jesus again entered Capernaum, the people heard that he had come home. They gathered in such large numbers that there was no room left, not even outside the door, and he preached the word to them. Some men came, bringing to him a paralyzed man carried by 4 of them. Since they could not get him to Jesus because of the crowd, they made an opening in the roof above Jesus by digging through it, and then lowered the mat the man was lying on. When Jesus saw their faith, he said to the paralyzed man, 'Son, your sins are forgiven.' Now, some of the teachers of the law were sitting there thinking to themselves, 'Why does this fellow talk like that? He's blaspheming. Who can forgive sins but God alone?' Immediately, Jesus knew in his spirit that this was what they were thinking in their hearts, and he said to them, 'Why are you thinking these things? Which is easier, to say to this paralyzed man, your sins are forgiven, or to say, get up, take your mat, and walk? But I want you to know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins.' So he said to the man, 'I tell you, get up, take your mat, and go home.' He got up, took his mat, and walked out in full view of them all. This amazed everyone, obviously, and they praised God, saying, 'We have never seen anything like this.'" Now, Luke 5, verses 17 through 26 is very nearly identical to this. It's 2 tellings of the same story. Jesus was in Capernaum, which was his home away from home, is what we would say. I had to look this up because I wasn't sure. But this is where he based his ministry. He didn't base it where he grew up. He based it in Capernaum, which is a region in Galilee. So this was a place where he could reach both Jews and Gentiles. And clearly, people were seeking healing and restoration. They were in need. When they heard he was coming, the room was just overflowing. They all came to see him. And what an exciting time for Jesus' ministry. Now, verse 4 is so compact for such a huge statement. Again, it says, since they could not get him to Jesus because of the crowd, they made an opening in the roof above Jesus by digging through it and then lowered the mat the man was lying on. First of all, look at these loyal friends. This is clearly not like they had just met the guy a couple times or they had just interacted with him. These men probably grew up with him or had known him for a long time. They cared about him and they had a close relationship with him. We don't know if this man had been paralyzed from birth or if he maybe had gotten into an accident and the friends had been around for it and had seen him just hurt so badly that he became paralyzed. We just have no idea. But also remember that people who had physical conditions at this time were thought to be in sin. And I wonder if his friends believed this. I wonder if they believed that their friend had done something wrong or his family had done something wrong to leave him in a state of being paralyzed. But if they did, they clearly did not have judgment for their friend. It also indicated what they believed about Jesus, that he had the power to heal and that sin would not hinder what Jesus could do. Perhaps he could even forgive sins. As the Bible Hub Study Bible put it, it reflected the belief that Jesus had divine authority. This moment foreshadows the spiritual healing Jesus offers, as physical healing often symbolizes spiritual restoration in the Gospels. I've always been confused about why Jesus' response was to immediately forgive the man's sins. But this concept opens up the idea that Jesus was addressing their faith that he could forgive sins. These friends went to the trouble of creating an opening in the roof and lowering their friend down. It was literally breaking through barriers to get to Jesus. There were a lot of barriers that this man could not get himself there. The crowds were so big that they couldn't physically get to Jesus. And then maybe, again, his sin might have been something that got in the way. Every barrier was taken out. As the study Bible says, the faith of the friends who brought the paralytic to Jesus is emphasized, showing that faith can be communal and intercessory. I think that's a beautiful way to put it. This is also a really powerful scene in The Chosen, by the way. Honestly, all of them are in that show, but I totally recommend going back and checking that out because it's just, again, powerful moment. I also love the thought that faithfulness is doing whatever you can to get to Jesus. That is the point of deciding in your heart that he has everything that you need to be healed. This happened with the centurion as well, not in the getting to Jesus, but in acknowledging his power and asking for help. And also with the woman who had bled for 12 years. And also with the Syrophoenician woman asking for help on behalf of her child. All of these situations are moments in which Jesus was amazed by the faith of these people who said, Jesus can heal me and I will do whatever it takes to get to him. This moment was also for the benefit of the teachers of the law. It was one of those moments Jesus knew what they were saying, even though they weren't literally saying it, and he calls it out. I can imagine how called out they must have felt in that moment of, oh, you know exactly what I'm thinking. Okay. And he addresses them, but then he turns back and he addresses the paralytic man personally. Can you imagine how happy the friends must have been to see the man walk again? This is how to be a good neighbor. And I know we're talking about friends, we're talking about long-time friendships, but it's also a way to be a good neighbor, to love them, to go to great lengths, to have hope for the people in your life, to intercede for them, and to hold them up in faith. These are all ways to be a good neighbor. Thanks for chatting today about that story. Let's talk again tomorrow about good neighbors. I just want to take a minute to thank our sponsor, Cannon Beach Conference Center. As a fellow busy person, I think I speak for all of us when I say we all could use a break. Cannon Beach Conference Center provides the perfect coastal backdrop for a number of refreshing, restoring, and equipping conferences. And it's also an ideal place to host your church or ministry retreat. Get more details by calling 800-745-1546 or visiting cbcc.net.
Thank you for listening to The Bible for Busy People. If you need prayer or want to go deeper in your faith, visit our show notes. Will you take a moment to share with a friend and leave a review? It helps the Bible get into even more people's minds and hearts. Find more podcasts that will recharge you at purposely.com.
Thanks for listening. We just wanted to take a minute to let you know that just like you and your family, Purposely is also part of a family, the Krista family of ministries. Krista helps kids and teens learn and grow in their faith at King Schools and Miracle Ranch Camp. And Krista shares Jesus with people in the poorest, most remote places through World Concern. Krista Senior Living is a community of love and care, and Krista Media is a place of hope on the radio. God is changing lives through these 5 ministries, and Krista is on mission to share the good news of Jesus. To learn more, visit krista.org.